Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for mayor for the city of Brier. I'm your moderator, Karen Crowley. I'm a board member and the host of our magazine On the Air. Candidates for the city of Brier mayor are Dale Kaemingk and Sham Othman. The League thanks these candidates for running for office, for their willing to serve the community if elected, and for participating in this forum. It's the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither oppose nor endorse candidates or parties. We do take positions on issues which we've studied and on which we've reached consensus. Ground rules for this forum were sent ahead of time to both candidates, but let me briefly explain our question and answer period rules. Opening and closing questions have been sent ahead to the candidates. Other questions have not been shared. However, we have made each candidate aware of the issue areas that this forum will likely cover. And by the way, we thank all the community members who sent us recommendations on local issues, and you will hear some of those questions included in tonight's forum. I'll pose the questions. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond. 90 seconds will be allowed for the final answer, and I'll state this change clearly. We're using a countdown timer. It's visible to both the candidates. It shows elapsed time and it alerts the candidates when there's 15 seconds left. Time limits on answers will be strictly enforced. When each candidate sees the timer turn red and hears the chime, you're done. Okay, I will change the starting order for each question. We'll just simply rotate back and forth between the candidates. So let's begin. And our first question, we're going to start with Mr. Othman. And the question is this: what qualifications and experience make you a strong candidate for this position? Mr. Othman.
Thank you, Karen. Personally, I see myself as an outsider with fresh ideas and fresh approaches. Looking at City Hall and the timeline, I'd say from around 2005 through current, it's been the same rough number of folks on council administrative. Dale himself has been part of City Council since 2005. And I think it's time for a change. Someone like myself who is working at a state agency, so I'm familiar with the rules, public records requests and whatnot, and believe I can bring in some technology, ways to be more efficient, streamline things. And currently I'm a director of international finance in a state agency. So I have that fiscal background as well as 4 years experience as a auditor, pension plans, health plans, and unions. So I have a variety of what I've seen, and I think I'd be a good fit for City Hall.
Thank you. Same question to you, Mr. Kaemingk.
Thanks for having me. So politics goes a ways back in my family. My dad was the mayor and on the city council of the city I grew up in. I attended the University of Washington, studied civil engineering. After that, I worked for a structural engineering firm for 40 years. The last 20 years, I served as I was one of the managing partners there. So I have a lot of experience managing people. During partial of that, I was for 16 years on the city council. During those years, I served in all the different liaisons, the budget, public works, community development, and planning. I also served on the union negotiations because we have 2 unions in our city, and I've used those experiences on the union. And the last year I've been the mayor. That's been the year that a year plus 3 months. I've learned a lot as the mayor of Brier about budgeting and the day-to-day operations of the city.
Thank you very much. Next question, this one, Dale, will stay with you. And the question's this: what are the biggest challenges facing Brier, and what strengths can it call on to resolve them?
So I think that one of the biggest challenges is our police department, getting that back. I'm fully in support of having our own Brier police. We've lost some police officers, and we had the unexpected resignation of our police chief. So I'm working hard to bring officers back, and we're also hired a nationwide search firm to do a search for a new police chief. We've had some recent applicants, so that's really good news. Also, budgeting wise, we're in pretty good financial shape as a city, but we do have limited resources that we can, as far as increasing taxes, we're limited by state mandates. And so knowing what's important to the citizens of Brier, having been involved for 16 years, I think I have a good indication of understanding of what Brier citizens want done with their resources that we steward. And those are the main challenges.
Thank you very much. Mr. Othman, same question for you.
Thank you. Completely agree with Dale. The police department is one of the biggest challenges facing the city of Brier. Looking at the city's comprehensive plan, it lays out the minimum level of service as 1,000 residents to one officer, with about an average population of 6,500 residents. That would put us at between 6 and 7 officers. We're currently only at 2, so we have far exceeded that minimum level of service and believe that we need to look at bringing on new officers as well as retaining the 2 that we currently have. And I believe looking at how to maybe increase their pay through my approach of streamlining things, budget cost savings would be a way to accomplish that. Further, we have development in the city of Brier, but maintaining that minimum lot size as well as outside the city. And then there's traffic concerns. And I believe just the increased number of people passing through is one of the biggest challenges as well facing the city.
Thank you. Mr. Othman, we're going to stick with you. And you opened up this subject, but I'm going to ask it in a little more detail. Do you believe that Brier's current level of staffing for the police department is adequate? Why or why not? Why or why not? You address this. This is a chance to go into a little more detail. And if it is not adequate, how might the city pay for additional policing?
Sure. And when you were saying the current level, you're referring to that statistic of 1,000 residents to one officer, or what we're currently at around 3,300 residents to one officer? Is that currently enough?
I would say that you can answer this in regard to how you feel.
Sure.
What are the appropriate levels based on what you see as the right standard?
Currently, the 2 officers we have is not enough. As I've mentioned, the comprehensive plan points out that we should have 1 officer to 1,000 residents. And it's a really tight, I guess a tight number, it's a tight operation. If an officer needs to go on vacation or take sick leave, we're then down half the officer staff. In addition, you could say, well, we could just bring in someone from the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, but it's not the same thing. I can personally tell you that our officers know our residents. They know what goes on and how things should appear. And I could personally share that this past Friday, I'd come home late from a Kraken game with my wife, had left the garage door open for 15 minutes as I was talking with my mom, who had put our boys to bed. And during that time, one of the Brier police officers drove by, saw the garage open, knew that was out of the ordinary because he's driven by and knows what it should look like at that time of night, and was about to walk up to our house to see if everything was okay. But I'd emerged from the garage and he knew we were fine. So I think we need to increase our population of officers to, that 6 or 7. And yeah, we can't look at like filling in from the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office as an alternative.
Thank you. And I think we gave you a little extra time on that. So I'm going to ask the same question now of Mr. Kaemingk regarding levels of staffing. Go ahead.
So we've had staffing issues in the city of Brier Police for, as long as I've been on the council. Because we are a small city, we tend to sometimes draw younger officers, and then they tend to sometimes move on. We are using a temporary contract with Snohomish County, which I negotiated with the county because the former police chief left us unexpectedly. So we do have adequate service. We do have service. We do have 2 officers, 2 Brier officers, but we're supplementing them while we're searching for new applicants. I'm pleased to say that we have recently had 4 applicants, and that's a huge improvement over what we've had over the previous years. And so I've been looking for new applicants, and I've also been participating in the search for the new police chief. Policing is a challenge. It's changing. Our legislature had made some recent changes, which are going to make it even more difficult. And all the neighboring cities are having same issues keeping police officers. So it's very important to me too.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question, Mr. Kaemingk, we'll stay with you. Do you believe that the 236th Street Southwest at the border of Brier and Mountain Lake Terrace should be opened? That street should be opened, Why or why not?
Well, 236 has not been open for a long time. We talked about it as a council years ago, and as a council got input from a lot of the community, and by and large, that street closure, even though some citizens would like to be open, by and large, it's been our understanding and their input that we've received that most citizens would like it to remain as it is. That does force traffic onto other streets. Traffic is an issue as Brier has become kind of a thoroughfare as the county gets developed out. But some of the streets that are main transits through our city, that's determined by the county. The city of Brier can't in and of itself make those changes in order to reduce traffic because that's not within our power to do so. So 236, no, I think it probably should remain closed as it has been for a number of years.
Thank you. Mr. Othman, same question to you.
Thank you. I agree with Dale. No, 236 should not be opened. We're currently at an interesting point with things. We have, I guess, because of the pandemic, a lot of folks are working from home and finding that they can do their job just fine from home, therefore removing that need for commuting. In addition, Mount Lake Terrace, the park and ride has light rail coming in about 3 years, and that may change the way folks commute to work. Instead of driving, it might be public transit all the way. And I've spoken with a few residents who've expressed the not opening it as well, and completely agree with that. I think it would just create just another a bottleneck potentially, and folks that live in that neighborhood live there because they knew it would be a quiet street. If you ever walk down it, you know, barely any cars go by. So that would be a huge change to those residents, and I don't think it should be opened, and we should look at alternative ways to address the volume of vehicles.
Okay, thank you for that. And let's stay with you, Mr. Othman. We're going to change the subject slightly. What measures would you support to keep housing options affordable in the city of Brier?
Well, within the city of Brier, there's a current minimum lot size of 12,500 square feet. So the city can't be overdeveloped. In respect to keeping it affordable, I'm not sure what as a city government can be done aside from maybe subsidies or working with certain builders to create like low cost housing. But again, it's single family homes with that minimum lot size. So you're a bit restricted unless the city council decides to change the municipal code.
Thank you. Mr. Kaemingk, same question.
Housing affordability is an issue all throughout the Pacific Northwest. Brier was developed, it was created to have large lots, and nobody wants to change that. Just because people enjoy having a little bit more space and a little bit bigger yards and sometimes a little bit bigger homes. So the leadership and the citizens really have not wanted to have multi-unit family. We're just basically single family. One of the things we can do is additional dwelling units. We do have a way for our citizens to create additional dwelling units on their lots. So that's one thing that can make it somewhat affordable. We have high requirements with respect to development and how our new houses, the quality, surface water management, those things are very important as we try to maintain our streams. And so unfortunately that does add to the cost, but we pretty much like Brier the way it is that way.
Okay, thank you for that. And Mr. Kaemingk, we're going to stay with you again. Mm-hmm. Changing subjects again. What is your strategy for working productively with your colleagues and with the members of the public whose ideas or life experiences are different from yours?
Well, it's been a pleasure to be part of the council for 16 years. And because I've had that experience, I've got to meet a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people come to our city council meetings. I feel like I know kind of the heartbeat of the city because of my exposure, the years that I've had to listen to hear the citizens talk. I've also had the opportunity to interact with a lot of our local neighbors, our mayors. I've had a chance, we meet regularly, and our meetings are very productive as we learn each other's problems. And together we come together as a united front to our legislator, our Snohomish County and Washington legislature. And when we have needs, they're typically similar as other cities. So we've come as a united front to get the resources that we need, not only from the county, also from the state. And also I developed a relationship with Rick Larson, who's our congressman. And so those experiences, I think, are helping to get the resources that we need.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Othman, same question to you.
Thank you. I believe when working with colleagues or members of the public who have different ideas than yours, I always try to, and I've encountered this myself in my professional work experiences, try to find common ground. Maybe in my fiscal work, I've had some what people would consider crazy ideas that people were afraid that would basically dump extra work on their plate. And I would reassure them. I'd say, listen, I guarantee you this will not happen in that manner. It will work out for everyone. And worst case scenario, if it does add extra work to you, I will fix that problem personally, so you have no negative side effects. And, basically telling them that nothing, bad could go wrong. And again, finding that common ground of what we can agree upon. And I think in the end, there's always a way to make it work, regardless if it's a colleague or a member of the public, and just listen to them and find that common ground.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll stay with you for the next question, and we're going to shift gears again. What are the most pressing environmental issues that the city of Brier faces, and what would you propose to address them?
Sure. I believe the current environmental issues, as kind of Dale had alluded to, as well as the protecting certain wildlife habitat, urban growth areas, as well as we have, development or, large lot sizes that are being subdivided, again, maintaining that minimum lot size, but trees and, the Brier Municipal Code currently states for every tree removed, you must replace it with 2, and impact on streams, wildlife, ecology, and just kind of keeping Brier the way it is. When you come into our city, beautiful tall trees that have been here 100+ years, wildlife, we have raccoons, squirrels, deer, even there's been a black bear sighting once. So I like to keep it as it is, but allow, for some more development, kind of just finding that balance of everything.
Thank you. And Mr. Kaemingk, would you please comment on environmental issues facing the city of Brier?
So the city of Brier is relatively young compared to a lot of our cities, but our infrastructure is aging in certain parts of the city. So I have done a focus on making sure that our stormwater system and our sewer system are getting the inspections and the needed repairs that they need. And those repairs are not inexpensive. As a civil engineer, I know how these things work and I know where to focus those priorities. So surface water management, the state requirements for runoff are getting more and more stringent. So making sure that we have the equipment to not only clean our streets, but to deal with the hazardous waste that's created when we pick up materials from our streets. Making sure that our streams are well kept, making sure that our ponds, we have a number of ponds and vaults that needed inspecting. And I found out that we'd fallen behind those things, and I've made sure that our staff is making sure that our ponds and vaults are being inspected and repaired as needed.
Thank you very much. And next question, again, Mr. Kaemingk, we'll stay with you. What should be Brier's plan to deal with existing or potential racial inequities?
Well, the city of Brier doesn't have a whole lot of racial divide. It's mostly pretty consistent. Although we are getting some new residents that are coming in. And as I've walked the city, I've met a lot of them. And they seemed welcome to be there. And as I speak to them, and I want to make sure that they feel welcomed, that they're getting part to know the opportunities they have to participate in city functions. So having neighbors, getting to know neighbors. And that's why I think it's important that we reestablish some of the community events that we've had to push back because of the pandemic. So I'm strongly encouraging our staff and our volunteers to get those events back on board so that people of different nationalities and races and different origins get to meet each other in our wonderful city.
Thank you very much. Mr. Othman, same question for you.
Thank you. I myself personally am, I guess, well, I'm a person of color. Both my parents were immigrants to the United States from Palestine. So I've always been one in my upbringing throughout life to always kind of look for and support the, I guess, the minorities, to make sure they get an equal and fair share and equal voice as well. And, you know, I welcome all residents, whoever want to live in Brier, and regardless of your background, they're all welcome here. And I myself am an example of that and love our city, our residents, and really appreciate the support I've gotten from all groups, backgrounds as well within our city, and think it's just a great place, a melting pot, and encourage future growth of diversity in our city.
Thank you. And now we're at the final question. We've made it to the final question. You'll have 90 seconds for this answer. And the question is this: what additional issues or information would you like to bring to the attention of the community? And we will start with Mr. Othman.
Sure, thank you. I guess I'd like to bring a few things to the attention of voters. Is during the pandemic, the last year and a half, the city of Brier had the opportunity to obtain COVID funding from the government, but they elected not to do so and left that money go. And that money could have been used for certain things such as sewer upgrades, as Dale had mentioned, those are rather costly, or even overhauling the bathroom at Brier Park. Both things for the Washington Association of Cities that are covered and eligible for use of those funds. In addition, a vote for me would make City Hall more transparent and accessible. I would make meeting minutes and supporting documents online available to all residents, so you don't have to attend the meeting at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday to be there and know what was discussed. Further investing in technology. In my work with the state agency, I've saved the state of Washington over $1 million in a 10-year span because of a process I implemented that's still used to this day. And I would bring that same type of approach to City Hall to save the residents money, use that funds elsewhere, potentially including paying for Brier police officer funding. Lastly, I would point out that some of my ideas are already being implemented. The city is working on a frequently asked questions page, which was my idea when I spoke with the city clerk treasurer this past June. So changes are coming, and I'm happy that the residents are going to get the benefit of that.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Kaemingk, you have the last word.
So I would say that there are monies available to the city from different agencies. I would disagree that those monies can't be used for all the different things that potentially that we would like them. Unfortunately, they do come with strings. I think one of the advantages I have being a retired person, I'm in the city hall during the day, and I've had a chance to interact with the staff, which I think, you know, because I'm the mayor, I think myself personally interacting with the staff is very important during the day. Also, I participate in the Department of Ecology meetings, Department of Emergency Management meetings, other mayors and other electeds, and those things also typically happen. And because I'm retired, I can participate in those, so I see that an advantage. I think the fact that I've been participating as a manager of a company for 20 years and as an engineer for 40 years is helpful. The proven leadership that I've shown on the city council and all departments interacting on all levels has also been good. My professional experience as an engineer has come through many times helping our staff make good decisions about what should happen with our resources and the development that's going on. Also, public safety. Of course, that's one of the main functions that we have to do. And budgeting carefully. We have limited resources. We have to make sure that our money is used well. And so I worked hard to make sure that happens well.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. We'll let our listeners know it is not easy to answer a question in 60 seconds or 90 seconds. And we very much appreciate your really succinct and interesting answers. The League appreciates these candidates for joining us and for running for office. A recording of this forum and of many others will be available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website and our YouTube channel, and you can find the links at lwvsnoho.org. We encourage you to explore additional information about these candidates and about all candidates. The Snohomish County voter pamphlet will be mailed to residences starting October 13th. Vote411.org, also sponsored by the League of Women Voters, is another great source for nonpartisan voting information. Finally, general election ballots will be mailed on October 14th, and Election Day is November 2nd. Please vote. And this concludes our candidate forum. Again, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you as